The mechanics of light, the mechanics of special relativity, are the mechanics of the universe. Are our bodies separate from the universe? Of course not. Whatever is true for the universe will also be true for us. If the universe is tuned to the speed of light, so are we. If the universe cannot deviate from the speed of light, neither can we. If this hypothesis is correct, like everything else that exists, we will find and synchronize with the speed of light. We cannot deviate from it. If we stray too far to the left and time slows down, our central nervous system will speed us up. We call this Parkinson's. If we stray too far to the right and time speeds up, our central nervous system will slow us down. We call this Lou Gehrig's disease. Reality as we know it is not fixed or solid. Reality is being rendered. It's not like a painting, it's like a movie, and it has a speed, light speed. Why do we get sick? Because the same light can be rendered in different ways. I can be 3 times the density of light so long as I'm also 3 times the speed, or 1/3 the density so long as I'm 1/3 as fast. So, in other words, if light is purple and it's a purple that's being rendered as red and blue, the amount of red and blue has to match. We're accustomed to thinking of light as one thing, but I think it's two. I think it's a balance, an equilibrium between density and speed, matter and energy, like a controlled explosion. The Big Bang didn't happen and then end. The Big Bang is eternal. We are the Big Bang. Our density will affect the speed of light we see. Our density will bend the lens. Look at the paintings of Van Gogh. He was rendering the density of the visible world alongside the density of light, which is what our brains do. We are the computers that are doing the seeing. We are the hardware, if you will, and light itself is the software. Time is changing moment by moment. We're designed to change with it and to match the speed of light we see. But here's the rub. If my core metabolic rate is too slow, if my lens is too bent, the light I see will be too dense. Or if my core metabolic rate is too fast, if my lens is too flat, the light I see will be too diffuse. The dysfunction, like a broken mirror, becomes self-reinforcing. We read the speed of light with our eye and then transmit that information to our pineal gland, which then transmits that information to our central nervous system. It is paramount that we read light speed correctly because light speed will affect our speed. If I'm too dense, I will see light that's too fast and I will match it. According to this paradigm, the speed of light is not a speed per se. It's a pairing of density and speed that are matched and that fit together like a left and right hand. The universe is not static. It's accelerating and expanding. If I don't understand where I am in time, I won't understand orthostatic pressure, blood pressure, height, weight, distance, eyesight, anything. If I don't understand where I am in time, my computer will be working off the wrong specs. I'll be synced with a today that's no longer today. Or in some cases, I'll be synced with tomorrow. If my central nervous system thinks time is here, but time is really here, I can barely get out of bed. Gravity has me pinned to the floor like a centrifugal force, and the tiniest light is piercing. To lift my arm is like lifting a boulder. I'm too dense. And worse, I'm using all my energy to maintain a density I don't need, when I could be using it for cellular repair, neurotransmitters, etc. This, I believe, is at the heart of chronic fatigue syndrome. If my central nervous system thinks time is here, but time is really here, my sensory experience is hugely exaggerated. I have what amounts to a sensory processing disorder, where everything hits me with the force of many things. For you, time is a field. For me, it's a wave. You hear a fork clang to the floor. I hear a fork that clangs and clangs and clangs. Here, it's the centripetal force that's exaggerated. This, I believe, is at the heart of autism. What we perceive depends upon the curvature of the lens through which we perceive it. From the point of view of the present, the past is a particle and the future is a wave. When we look backward, light will condense. When we look forward, light will expand. Light is a cone. Picture it as though looking backward or forward through a megaphone, where when we look backward, the past narrows, and when we look forward, the future widens. Why? Because of time. Because from the point of view of the present, the future is many, but the past is one. So if the present is lunch, what's for dinner? I don't know. Could be any number of things. But what's for breakfast? One thing. In this case, eggs. To put it another way, the future is chiral, but the past is achiral. I'm using the term chiral here in a slightly novel way. I'm using it to mean choice. Typically, it's used to mean mirror images that are not superimposable, like your left and right hands. So if our perspective is from the present, from lunch, dinner is chiral, but breakfast is achiral, meaning when I look outward, my dinner options are not superimposable because they're different, but when I look backward, my breakfast options are superimposable. In other words, when we look forward to the future, there's choice, but when we look backward, there's no choice. Even if we look back from different angles, the past will always look the same. The future is chiral, but the past is achiral. What is time? I believe time is light's movement from the state of maximum density, or alpha, to the state of maximum speed, or omega, and back again, ad infinitum. When we reach the end of time, time doesn't end, it just turns around. After accelerating for a long time, we finally get to slow down. According to this paradigm, everything we observe, everything in the visible world, is being rendered at the speed of light, which is 0. In its pure form, outside of linear time, light is massless, so it knows no distance and can have no speed. It is being ensouled in matter that gives light speed. The denser the matter, the faster the speed. Time and light are twin sides of the same thing. Time is light that has been drawn back behind itself, the way we draw back a sling. It is in the drawing back, the incarnation, that light acquires density and speed. Light is governed by special relativity. Past light cone, future light cone, and the hypersurface of the present, which I've been calling the speed of light membrane. This, I believe, is what we're actually seeing when we observe the cosmos. This is this. That's the Sloan Digital Sky Survey's 3D map of the cosmos. What if the center of the universe is neither Earth nor Sun? The center of the universe is consciousness. The center of the universe is now. To the left of now, dense light is accelerating toward now. To the right of now, fast light is decelerating toward now. Light will always move toward now. Light wants to be straight. Or does it? What if the definition of straight varies depending on the curvature of the lens? This line is the speed of light membrane. I've drawn it flat for the sake of simplicity, but in fact, flatness is relative. If I'm curved in a world in which literally everything is curved, am I really curved? In such a world as that, wouldn't a true curved line actually be kind of flat? Light will find the shortest path. We've demonstrated this experimentally. If I'm capable of finding the shortest path, why would I ever complete a circle? Once I travel halfway around, there's a diameter right there I could take instead. Could this economy of motion be what we're observing in Fibonacci? Dense light gets hotter, accelerates, and fast light gets colder, decelerates, until at the ecliptic, they flip. This image by Max Tegmark, a physicist at MIT, is of our cosmic microwave background, or CMB, which might be likened to a kind of energetic fingerprint of the cosmos. This alternating pattern of hot and cold regions where they flip along the ecliptic has been called anomalous because we haven't quite known what to make of it. I believe the ecliptic is the speed of light lens. The ecliptic is like the vertical plane of a tesseract. If the world is made of light, in that one stroke, the riddle of existence just got a whole lot easier for us, because light is a flame divided but undimmed. It's indivisible, meaning the part will always mimic the whole, like a hologram or a fractal. In a world made of light, once we've figured out the fundamental shape and mechanics of one thing, we've figured out the fundamental shape and mechanics of everything. Right now, there's a bit of a debate going on as to whether the shape of the cosmos is closed or open, curved or flat. What if it's both? What if space as it curves becomes time, and time as it curves becomes space? In other words, what if the fundamental shape evinced by the cosmos, like that of the galaxy, like hurricanes, like pine cones, like flower petals, like the human face, like DNA, like even the Earth itself, is neither flat nor a sphere, but a spiral. A spiral being how we might render in 3D space a sphere that's getting larger by degrees. There are 360 degrees in a circle. Why, when we circle the sun, does it take us 365? Why do we need leap years and funny math to make our calendars work? Because a circle is not a circle. The circle keeps getting larger. By the time we circle the globe, we've returned to the same place, but it's a different day, a different circle. Our calculations have been based exclusively on space. We've been leaving time out of the equation. Time moves like a pendulum, toggling between the alpha and the omega state. Like a metronome, the rate at which we toggle dictates our circadian rhythm. If we toggle too quickly, time will effectively speed up for us. If we toggle too slowly, time will effectively slow down. If the curvature of my lens is off, my understanding of time will be off. If time is too slow, light will be too fast. Parkinson's. If time is too fast, light will be too slow. Lou Gehrig's disease. Light speed is our speed. We are light. 93 million miles isn't the distance to the sun. We are the sun. 93 million miles is our circumference. My father, Fisher Black, died of cancer at age 57 in 1995, exactly 100 years after the death of Louis Pasteur. By the time they found the squamous cell carcinoma at the base of his tongue, it was already stage 4. In addition to surgery and radiation, his oncologist prescribed multivitamins, which I used to pick up for him, and I noticed something about the bottles. At the bottom, in big capital letters, they both said iron and copper free. 20 years later, when my own health faltered, I also had problems with iron and copper. I needed them, but like thiamine, taking them at normal doses seemed to only make me worse. Like a cancerous cell, I was trapped, inert. My perception of time was askew. I was too dense, my lens too bent. Because my rate of spin was off, my copper was not able to function as electricity, and my iron was not able to function as magnetism. A paradox kept me stuck. I need to be cycling at the proper rate in order for copper to be able to function as electricity and iron to be able to function as magnetism. But I need sufficient energy, electromagnetism, in order to cycle time at the proper rate. Why does oxalate, a crystal found in plants capable of photosynthesis, cause cancer when injected into breast tissue? Because of its high relative density. Its density is bending the lens and altering the way the cell sees itself. When light is too dense on one side of the membrane, it will be too fast on the other. When we bend the speed of light membrane, we create a concave lens on one side of the membrane and a convex lens on the other. If we misperceive the time signature we're in, if we misperceive the curvature of the lens, instead of making matter and energy, we will make matter and matter and matter. We will propagate backward. It's possible that cancer cells need to see themselves in a chiral mirror. Without that reverse image boundary, we don't know where time is. We don't know where the speed of light membrane is. A chiral image is how we know what flat means. It's how we understand the line between observer and observed. Without that line that we can't see beyond, we don't know where now is. With the cancer cell, both its density and its speed are too high. It is, for instance, 4x the speed of light and 4x the density of light, while the rest of the body is only 1x or 2x. Looking backward in time, we can't see chirality, so there's nothing to check our spin. Past images are all superimposable, but unlike matter and matter, matter and energy are not duplicate images of each other. They're mirror images of each other. Like the twin sides of DNA, they're not superimposable. From the perspective of light, which sits between them, matter and energy are essentially the same thing, except they're spinning in opposite directions. The speed of light is a movable feast. In a sense, it doesn't matter what the values are for density and speed, so long as they match. Cancer cells are toggling too quickly back and forth between the alpha and the omega state. Their pendulum, their circadian rhythm is off. This talk is an invitation to re-examine some of our long-held beliefs and to view the world with fresh eyes. These are ideas. This is not science. Ideas have a place in science. They're a first step. But ideas have to be tested, and they have to generate repeatable results before we can probe them and know if they hold any merit. But coming up with ideas and testing them is what science is. I mention this in case there are any young people listening, because when I was a kid, to be honest, I didn't have much interest in science. But, well, I'm still a kid actually, only now I've discovered that science is actually super cool. Before I sign off, if you'll permit me, I'd like to get a little philosophical. In the beginning, light is everything and everywhere. But let me ask you something. If something is everything and everywhere, isn't it a little like being nothing and nowhere? I mean, how would we even know it exists? People get hung up on the tree falling in the forest, but the question is legitimate. How would we know what blue was if everything was blue? How would light know itself? Indeed, how would light even be itself without there being something else existing that was not it? How would we even describe it? If a computer's language is comprised of zeros and ones, would it even be possible to communicate with a language that was just zeros or just ones? Maybe, but it'd probably require that we use a blank space as a proxy for whichever character was missing. I'm serious. How would you render a tree, either in language or as an image, without there being such a thing as a no tree? You can't really. The existence of a no tree is a prerequisite for the existence of a tree. In other words, when light is everything and everywhere, it may be perfect, but there's no story. And we are story. The story of light falling from itself and rediscovering itself is our story. And it's a story full of suffering, you might argue. And you'd be right. But our story, though full of suffering, is a love story. We get so caught up in whether we agree with one another. It doesn't matter if we agree. It's totally irrelevant. What matters is empathy. What matters is if we can inhabit another person's perspective and imagine what it's like to live their life. To feel why someone else might believe something different from me. For instance, I'm a fanatic about organic food. I will not put any food that's not organic in my mouth. My friend has no use for organic food. What's necessary isn't that we agree. What's necessary is that I be able to say, oh, she has 3 kids under 3. She's just trying to make ends meet. She literally doesn't have the bandwidth to care about organic. And for her to say, oh, Alethea is scared. She's frightened of the possible effects that chemicals and pesticides could have on the body's ability to tell what time it is. We are all one body. My light living your life is you. Your light living my life is me. We are all the colors of the rainbow. A rainbow is just light made visible, as are we. On the day they put George Floyd in the ground, I went to my computer and I pulled up a TV series that came out when I was 8 years old, Roots. And do you know, I almost couldn't watch. We tortured, we brutalized an entire branch of our own family. Not just a branch. We are light. Time is a circle. Our black and brown brothers and sisters are the source from which we all come and to which we will all return. They are our fountainhead, and we tortured them. We took everything they had, and we never made it right. When slavery ended, we promised them 40 acres and a mule, and then we never gave it to them. Now, does that seem right to you? This is the start of a new day. We're going to put the past away and start fresh. But before we can put away the past, we need to make it right. We haven't been able to put the past behind us because we haven't made it right yet. Where shall I end? The same place we always end. Back at the beginning. The creation of an alpha always creates an omega in that same instant, even if it's simply the omega that ends just as alpha begins. Thank you, my friends, and much love to everyone.